No risk of being entertained. Well, there will be a risk of being entertained. For the days out. Thank you, Lars, for those wonderful overview words of inspiration and provocation for us. My name's Whiten, and I drive an Integrale. Actually, I don't, but I think that'd be a great name for a sports car, a very cool sports car. That's totally integrated engine. I come from Ontario, and my background is French, English, and Inuit. And I believe a lot in cultural integration. And came out to Alberta, actually, from the University of Guelph. That was my first discovery of the Peace River, and drank the waters of the Peace, which the beaver will say, the Damizal will say, if you drink the waters of the Peace, you will return. And after doing some work as a graduate in the Faculty of Environmental Design in Calgary, I went overseas in the Philippines and worked in this whole field of integrated watershed management and community development in a still very conflicting peace and order situation. And then having worked with First Nations here in Alberta with the Old Man Dam, and again in the northeastern BC over water use and resource use conflicts, it's sort of been a theme that I've had in my life. So it's really great to be part of a circle of people, of watershed warriors and watershed warriors that can bring together a real understanding of the real pressures of working on the ground and trying to think well ahead. And very much I would like to offer in this presentation about thinking from a business perspective, whether it be local governments or individuals or businesses directly. We are definitely affected by all of these decisions, so integration is really critical. So you can see our little office here. Let me just turn this a little bit. I just wanted to show you, this is our little watershed office here in Dawson Creek. The program was started just a few years ago, but it has been actually in development for about 20 years, where we started our first watershed stewardship plans. And so we're busy out there doing research and extension and education of all kinds. Well, the precious the day. Here it is already August 9th, and we are now on just about on level 4 water restrictions. Industry has been shut down in terms of water extractions in the Cascada, in many parts of the southeast watershed, while at the same time the Peace Bennett Dam is now spilling water, less than an hour away, hour and a half away. So the variability, the pressures of climate change effects, minimal snowpack, what's happening with groundwater recharge, we don't have the accurate understanding. So we're not just applying the law of unintended consequences, but the precautionary principle very much to the fullest in what we have to do. So we've got definitely key partnerships in developing our approach and being able to really take a good look at what is really happening. What's the business case for stewardship in a very busy watershed? And the footprint is quite significant. It's one of these few watersheds, unlike places like Victoria and Vancouver that can just keep people out. We have a lot of people in there making a lot of income that generates the livelihood and businesses for the community and rural community as well, which we have to consider as one community. Even though we're a local government, we have to think of the rural landowner, some of which gets our bulk water supply very much as if they're living in the town. There's no other way to approach this. So I throw out the idea, can we actually find here the triple bottom line, the quadruple bottom line really for stewardship? Being able to look at not just environmental, economic, and social, but also cultural. And being able to think more in terms of a strategic approach to our thinking in achieving this integration, getting strategic results, and undertaking analysis that keeps us active in our scanning of the external forces that are happening, and then select options that we can just put down a torpedo, as they say, and go for it, and still adapt to what's happening around us in terms of pressures. Obviously, partnerships are key to that, looking at innovations and learning from them and adapting as we go. Certainly, effective policy integration and being very conscious of and anticipatory, accountable and integrated. I mean, a lot of words there, but you know, if you're going to have a policy that says conserve water and you're still selling bulk water for fracking, public ought to understand really why are you doing this? Why aren't you just shutting down this kind of activity? Well, we say we're still a business. We still have to raise funds to pay for our long-term infrastructure for our water supply that we're trying to build. So there's always a way of trying to get ahead without just totally being too much of a wearing rose-colored glasses, think that we can just plow ahead with certain things and not consider all the costs to people. So I talk about the role in my role here is really about in 5 categories: as facilitator, communicator, researcher, as negotiator and integrator, perhaps agitator. I mean, it's about really bringing people together to find solutions, to not get too quick on drawing conclusions. Whatever the science is that's emerging there, don't be too quick to say, we think we understand this, but more or less willing to sort of say, well, we do know, based on a certain level of science, we're comfortable in sort of putting some of these issues a little bit to the side. For example, deep water fracking and the potential linkages as a water quality issue to us is not necessarily the issue, but certainly depressurization of aquifers from well seals that are failing could be a very serious issue in terms of supply. So it's getting a real understanding of that. Bringing together researchers in terms of a research agenda is very important to us, that we want to be able to involve universities like University of Alberta and UNBC and various folks, but we want to say, here's some topics that we really want to guide graduate students or PhD students in helping us. Negotiating, it's all about getting an understanding of interests. It's no point in saying, you're doing this, you're pooping in our river, you're doing this and that. It's about saying, what do you need to do to understand how to move things forward in terms of water quality protection? So some of you have maybe seen some of the whole model of community watershed management that takes us through the whole process of identifying resources through to communication, and it's this feedback cycle that brings us back to the watershed management plans. And make sure that those plans are living plans. They're not just done. They're developed and new questions and new milestones are achieved. The integration here that happens between the economics, the users, and the resources is clearly a total sort of continuous thought process. That we're continuously saying, what's happening on the supply, how much more need do we have, when do we need that water, and how can we improve our allocation. So the city's had this vision and mission statement that has developed a very motherhood statement about trying to be holistic really about its approach. And what we've done then is sort of build on this vision and mission to sort of say, okay, if we had the ideal watershed, what would how kind of functions would it encompass? And I think we're all familiar with the basic elements and the biophysical side. So our understanding is really about trying to build a long-term vision to maintain a safe and good water supply, considering multiple values, and managing it to deal with risks that are on the horizon, or maybe there that we haven't actually been aware of before. So we use this framework, achieving watershed stewardship in the upper Augustana River will integrate interdisciplinary scientific research with local knowledge and resource management best practices to maintain hydroecological functions, socioeconomic and cultural values needed for a sustainable, healthy community. So we're not just interested purely in the water function, but in the interrelationship of people and using that water. So what's happening? Just to give you a sense of this sort of detail, it's almost like a bit of a case study here that I'm offering to get into appreciate the challenges. So there it is, 2,800 square kilometer watershed in the northeast above Dawson Creek. Not glacier fed, but quite a change of relief that we do rely on paleo valleys to feed groundwater. The Maricole Lake, all the way down to our intake on the muddy Kiskatna, which is the word in Cree, Kiskatna means